Welcome everyone to the third installment of All About Zoom Spaces webinar series. I am Vinod Krishnamurthy and I am delighted to have you join us today for an exciting session exploring several key innovations in the Zoom Room ecosystem. These are the topics that we will be covering today. Throughout our session, we'll explore practical implementations, demonstrate key features, and discuss how these solutions can enhance your organization's collaboration capabilities. As this is a simulate session, please share your questions in the Q&A panel and we will respond to you with answers post the session over email. Also, at the end of the session, do not forget to share your feedback through the survey that will pop up at the end and let us know what we should be covering in the upcoming sessions. So let's begin our journey into the exciting Zoom Room innovations along with the ecosystem play that are shaping the future of hybrid collaboration. One of the key KPIs for IT network administrators in organizations is to ensure that there is consistent, high quality content and application services delivered on corporate network to its end users without disruption. The impact of network service quality is most evident while running video content that is being viewed by multiple people simultaneously. To understand the importance of ZoomMesh, we need to first understand the paying areas that the current meeting or webinar services pose that IT admins need to take care of. Let me walk you through how bandwidth consumption works in a standard Zoom webinar setting. Picture this. When a host starts a Zoom webinar from their office, each participant who joins receives their own individual video stream. Now, here is where it gets interesting. Even if you have multiple people joining from the same office or location, each person still gets their own separate stream from the host. This is where bandwidth challenges start to emerge. To put this in perspective with real numbers, if each webinar stream requires about 1.5 Mbps of bandwidth, an office with 50 participants would need 75 Mbps of dedicated bandwidth just for the webinar traffic. This becomes even more demanding when you consider that this is happening on top of your regular network traffic. Without proper bandwidth provisioning, you risk poor video quality, freezing, or even disconnections during important webinars. This is why many organizations are taking a more strategic approach to their network architecture, ensuring they have enough bandwidth overheads to support these intensive video streaming scenarios. This is where ZoomMesh comes in as a game changer. ZoomMesh works intelligently, designating certain Zoom clients as mesh parents. These parent clients act like local distribution points. They receive the video stream from the Zoom cloud and then share it with other participants called mesh children on the same local network. Think of it like this. Instead of everyone needing their own pipeline to get water from the main reservoir, you have local water tanks that receive the water and distribute it to the nearby homes. This dramatically reduces the strain on the main pipeline. What makes Zoom Mesh really powerful is that it's built right into the Zoom client, no need for third-party solution. It uses smart cloud-based algorithms to automatically figure out the best way to distribute media streams. The system constantly monitors the connections and can automatically reorganize if a mesh parent loses connectivity, ensuring your webinar keeps running smoothly. Plus, there is no compromise on the Zoom experience. Host and the attendees get all the features they are used to. And if something goes wrong and all mesh parents become unavailable, participants will automatically fall back to connecting directly to the Zoom cloud. Best of all, you can manage everything centrally through the web portal, making it easy to oversee and control your mesh setup across the organization. So, if you're looking to scale up your webinar capabilities while being smart about bandwidth usage, ZoomMesh provides an elegant solution that just works, keeping your network happy and your webinar participants connected. Let's have a look at ZoomMesh with Zoom Room in action. In the demo setup, which we will see, there are 6 devices that will participate in a webinar call. One host and rest as attendees. The attendees comprise of Zoom Rooms on Windows and Android, Zoom desktop client on Mac, and Zoom mobile client. One of them being guest attendee from another organization. All of these devices will be joining from the same LAN subnet. Let's navigate to ZoomMesh setting under Advanced tab in Zoom admin portal. Here you will see ZoomMesh option for webinar and ZoomMesh for meetings. We will look at ZoomMesh functionality for webinar in this demo. Navigate to the settings tab of the webinar. Administrators can enable mesh functionality and define which attendees should be able to use the mesh. Admins can also restrict the attendees to use the mesh network if there is a round trip delay or the device is connected over Wi-Fi. Admins will also be able to decide where the mesh is set up. The configuration of mesh setup is done by specifying the local IP subnets from where the clients are going to connect from and the public IP addresses that the clients will be using to connect to the webinar. Admins can define multiple locations with different public IP ranges and local IP subnets and can configure individual locations with bandwidth policies and device restrictions. For the best performance of the mesh network, admins have the option of selecting the mesh working from the following 3 methods. Now, let's take a look at the live webinar firstly from the live meeting dashboard. Here is the live webinar dashboard that shows a webinar with 6 participants in it. One host who is connected from a Mac client and 5 attendees. 3 of which are Zoom Rooms, Windows and Android based, and guest who has joined from mobile device, and another local user who has joined from Mac client. All the attendees are connected from the same local IP subnet. Let's look at the mesh dashboard and see if there is any mesh network created based on the current webinar participation. Looking into the mesh dashboard under advanced settings, you can see that the top mesh parent has one device listed acting as parent for the webinar. That is listed under the webinar statistics. The mesh ratio for this webinar is a 1:1 parent-child setup. When we drill down further into the webinar, you can see the mesh statistics of how much bandwidth is transferred in the mesh that translates into a cost saving and the detail of the parent-child association in the mesh. You can see that Zoom Room for Windows is acting as a parent and Android-based Zoom Room need frame is acting as a child in the current mesh network. This is all automatically decided by the mesh orchestrator and there is no intervention needed by IT admins. Admins do have the option for defining which devices should be defined as parents in the network if they need to control that. Now let's move on to the next topic. Similar to mesh offering, Zoom provides other bandwidth optimization services, which in addition to bandwidth savings can offer tighter organizational requirements of security, compliance, and controlled meeting environment. Let's see what Zoom Node is all about. Zoom Node is a unified hybrid platform that integrates Zoom's on-premises and cloud solutions. While installed in your data center, it's fully managed from the Zoom cloud, bringing cloud capabilities directly to your premises. The platform streamlines deployment of Zoom services through modules with centralized management, reporting, and troubleshooting. Its modular design lets organizations start small and scale as needed. Currently supporting meetings, webinars, recordings, and phone services, Zoom Node replaces multiple separate systems with one unified platform. This eliminates the complexity of managing different deployment processes, upgrade frameworks, and troubleshooting tools. Everything is controlled through a single web portal, maximizing the efficiency while optimizing bandwidth usage between your facility and Zoom's cloud. One such module offered as a part of the Zoom Node deployment is Meetings Hybrid. Zoom Meetings Hybrid is a new solution from Zoom that allows organizations to keep their meeting media data secure within their own network. This solution lets organizations install Zoom meeting components behind their firewall while maintaining the ability for both internal and external users to join the meeting seamlessly. For internal users, they connect to a local hybrid server within the organization's network. External participants can still join through the regular Zoom cloud service. The solution provides enhanced network security through media edge capabilities. When multiple internal users participate in a meeting, only one connection to the Zoom cloud is needed for the meeting session. This helps organizations save significant internet bandwidth, especially during large meetings or webinars with many internal participants. For meetings that include external participants, those users join through Zoom's cloud environment, and a two-way UDP connection is established between the internal servers and Zoom's cloud environment for multimedia routing. Now, let's take a look at Zoom Meetings hybrid service in action with Zoom desktop clients and Zoom rooms within organizations' WAN network connecting to local network meeting module, reducing the need for internet bandwidth to connect to cloud. When Zoom Node license is enabled with different modules on the account and deployed, you will see the dashboard for the different kinds of services deployed under Zoom Node Management tab like this. Navigating to the node module section, you can see the current running services. There are two node instances of hybrid meetings which are defined under two different zones, allowing a distributed architecture to be created if customer needs one. Navigating to the user meeting settings, we have the option of enabling hybrid services to use these media servers for Zoom meetings and webinars. We will keep this setting disabled for now and place a test call. In the dashboard, currently we do not have any meeting running, so let's start a meeting. Here is the web controller of one of the Zoom rooms that we will be connecting into a meeting from a user. You can see that once the room is connected to the meeting, the UI changes to the meeting room controls. Navigating to the Shield tab can give the details of the data center where the meeting is hosted. Moving to dashboard, we can see the meeting having 4 participants, of which 3 are Zoom rooms and 1 the host who started the meeting from the desktop client. Here again, if you look at the data center field, you can see all the participants are connected to India Zoom data center in Mumbai. Now let's enable the hybrid feature under the user meeting settings and define the zones that the internal corporate rooms and desktop clients should connect to for their meetings and webinars. We are enabling 2 meeting zones that we saw under the node module section for meetings hybrid. Let's reinitiate the meeting and check the stats under the Zoom room and the dashboard. As you can see from the Zoom room controller stats, Zoom room is connecting to the Zoom service via a data center controlled by the host organization. Now let's look at the dashboard stats for the meeting. Here you can see the 4 participants, 3 Zoom rooms and 1 desktop client connected into the meeting. And under the data center field, we can see the participants are using the local meeting zones and not connecting to the cloud media servers. This showcases the power of Zoom platform that allows meetings to be conducted in the way the organizations want to conduct its meetings, offering complete flexibility in choosing the mode of operation and at the same time ensuring compliance, security, and operational efficiency by reducing the bandwidth requirements over internet. Now let's move on to the next topic. For organizations and system integrators that are looking to control the Zoom room experience and design their own control functions as per their desired workflow, Zoom has introduced Zoom Room Controller XDK. This is a replacement of the legacy control system API services that Zoom offered. That service had limitations in terms of environment that it could operate in and had limited control functions. These are now overcome by Zoom Room Controller SDK. So in the next demo, I am using the C++ sample script provided in Zoom Marketplace and downloaded the script and built a package. The demo script has pair, start meeting, end meeting, and mute commands that can be run from the command prompt after initialization of the SDK. Let's have a look at the SDK in action. Once the app starts, you first need to pair with the Zoom Room with Zoom Room activation code. This is the first step for SDK to establish connection with the Zoom Room. The Zoom Room will have to be in the logged in state before the pair command is run. Upon successful connection, you can now send the command to control the Zoom Room behavior. In this demo, with the start meeting command, you are starting an instant meeting on the Zoom Room. With mute command, you are muting the microphones on the Zoom Room. And with end meeting, you are ending the running meeting on the Zoom Room. So this is a backend service that can be incorporated in your project, and you can control the Zoom Room from your app by initializing the SDK and send the commands to the Zoom Room. This allows integrators to custom build Zoom Room controller user interface based on the end user workflow. This also ensures that most of the native Zoom Room controller functions are available as a part of the SDK, the details of which is available on Zoom Marketplace documentation. Now we will be looking at a unique proposition that can be built with Zoom Rooms and Zoom Scheduler that meets the market needs of public room bookings without actually onboarding the user onto the organization's tenant. One of the use cases is where organizations need to define some rooms as public rooms for their vendors or contract suppliers to have meetings in, but cannot onboard these external users on their internal service applications. Another use case may be for organizations to share some of their meeting rooms with their sister concern to optimize on resource utilization as a part of the group company initiative. Another use case may be for hospitality industry, where hotel facility owners need to provide conference room facilities on a self-booking basis for their guests. This solution leverages user calendar association with Zoom Room and have that user set up a scheduler public booking page. If the user has other platform integrations available, like Google Meet and Microsoft Teams, we can enable that integration as well, along with Zoom meetings, and provide a choice for the guests to select a meeting platform to run their meetings on. Alternately, an option can be provided for the guests to attach their own meeting link to the scheduler. Let's have a look how it works. Firstly, within the Zoom Room settings, ensure that the Zoom Room calendar configured is the user calendar who will have a scheduler booking page published. Now navigating to the scheduler page of the user, create a new schedule of one-to-one meetings and add all the available platform integrations to the schedule. Here, under the locations field, you can see there are 4 options provided to the guest to choose from. 3 of the options are organizations provided meeting services. The 4th option is for the guest to provide his meeting link and bring their meeting on the schedule. Now complete the rest of the scheduler settings, like setting the public availability, defining date range of booking, allowing guests to add additional users and any other notifications. Let's take a look at the Zoom Room controller web view, and here you can see that there is no available booking or calendar event published on the Zoom Room controller. Now we can check the user calendar and you can see for the current date there is no meeting schedule, which as expected matches the controller view. If the Zoom room is plotted on workspace reservation map, you can see the availability status of the Zoom room from the map view or timeline view. As expected, there is no event on workspace reservation as it pulls the calendar events from the associated Zoom room calendar. Now let's move on to the scheduler and try to book 4 schedules, each by different user and using different service option under the location tab. As the first case, let's allow the guest to attach their meeting with the schedule. We will use different first names for every booking. Here, the username we are using is VKM and the time slot selected is 9:30 p.m. Let's book another event from the available time slots. This time we will choose Zoom meeting. The username here will be VKM1. In this next booking, we will select Microsoft Teams as an option and the username here is VKM2. You can see that a 30-minute time slot gets disappeared after every booking. In the last booking, we will use Google Meet provider and the username in this case will be VKM3. Look at the Zoom room web controller and here you can see all the 4 meetings appearing, 3 of which are organization provided meeting services and the 4th one is guest's own Zoom meeting link. All the 4 meetings have click to join option. The user calendar as well shows up all the 4 meetings lined up and accepted. The workspace reservation as well shows the real-time status of room availability with busy state during the booking period such that no one else will be able to do the booking of the room from workspace reservation tab. So you can see the calendar of user, scheduler, workspace reservation, all are synchronized, ensuring room bookings being done from any medium gets reflected on the other platform, avoiding any meeting conflicts. Let's now try and connect into the meetings and see what Zoom room status reflects. In the Microsoft Teams call, the organization has to allow lobby bypass so that Zoom room connects into the meeting without waiting for the host to join the meetings and allow the guest. In Google Meet as well, we have the same requirement for the guest to join the meeting from the room without the host. This setting has to be enabled by the Google administrator for the user. In case of the Zoom meeting that the guest has linked for the schedule, if join before host function is not enabled for the meeting, the Zoom room will be placed in the waiting room. In all the 3 cases so far, we need admins to do some meeting configuration changes and allow Zoom room to join the meeting before the host. In the final Zoom meeting option, where the organization Zoom meeting is used, Zoom room can take the host function automatically as it is a part of the same tenant as the Zoom meeting host. So we have seen how scheduler can be used in combination with Zoom Room and provide public room booking facility. If for some reason the guest has to reschedule or cancel the meeting, which has not been covered in this demo, Zoom scheduler will allow the same and the status will be updated on workspace reservation, Zoom's calendar, and its controller. You would never have thought that such a use case could be built with Zoom Room, isn't it? But still, there will be questions in your mind that we are now using a user calendar and not a shared resource calendar with the Zoom Room. And that's a valid question. We are looking at removing that dependency on user calendar for Zoom Room bookings through scheduler. Till that time, this is a workaround that offers a solution for public room booking needs. Now let's move on to the next topic. I am really excited to share this one with you. Custom AV in Zoom Room is particularly useful for professional environments like auditoriums and broadcasting facilities. Let's take a look at what custom AV with Zoom Room brings to the table. The Zoom Room Custom AV Controller app is a specialized tool designed for AV integrators and production operators. This dedicated controller provides advanced AV controls, real-time room management, and remote multi-room pairing capabilities. It's particularly valuable for configuring Zoom rooms with NDI, hardware-based SDI, and Dante, offering a technician-focused interface for managing custom AV outputs in settings like auditorium or broadcast environments. The system requires Zoom Rooms version 6.4.0 or above and a separate system running custom AV application. For hardware integration, compatible hardware devices as per recommendation need to be set up. This solution streamlines complex AV setups while ensuring professional grade integration across various environments, making it an essential tool for technical users managing sophisticated audiovisual systems. In this demo, you are seeing Zoom Room Custom AV application on the left and Windows-based Zoom Room on the right. Zoom Room Custom AV application can be downloaded from the marketplace and it is available for both Windows and Mac. The Custom AV application needs to be installed on a dedicated PC that is different from the Zoom Room. Only user who is a part of the same organization, Zoom tenant, and has room management permissions can access the rooms via custom AV application. Once logged in, you can see the option for pairing with the Zoom Room in the same tenant. The Zoom Room can be anywhere in the globe and need not be on the same network as the custom AV application. Once paired, you can define what is the custom AV gallery output configuration. This can be different from the gallery settings of physically connected monitors on the Zoom Room. You can see the NDI and hardware-based output selections, which will get populated when the Zoom Room connects on the call. You can see the option of setting the default state of the Zoom Room camera configuration. The default camera multi-camera option can be selected on the Zoom Room before the call. Also, if there are NDI camera sources that Zoom Room can detect, those will be selectable as well. Now let's connect the Zoom Room on a call. The moment the call is established, you can see the Zoom Room Custom AV app status change with NDI output field getting activated. As there are no SDI hardware I/O connected to the Zoom Room, the hardware I/O section is blank. To check if Zoom Room Custom AV application is able to control the room behavior, we can mute and unmute the microphone and camera on the Custom AV app, and you can see the status change on the Zoom Room controller. Now we can configure the NDI outputs from the Zoom room to have the feed decided by the custom AV application. You can choose from any of the options from the drop-down list like participant, gallery view, spotlighted participant, screen share, etc. And every output can be different. In our demo, we are selecting the different multi-camera feed of the Zoom room as individual participants and also selecting a gallery view as NDI outputs. You can see the same reflecting on the Zoom room controller options. Up to 12 NDI outputs can be configured on the Zoom room in addition to the physical displays connected to the Zoom room. Now to check the NDI feed outputs, we will use the NDI monitor software to capture the NDI streams on the network and check how the output is coming out. So you can see all the 4 outputs are working as per configuration on custom AV side, and they can be manipulated live during the ongoing call. The custom AV application can remotely pair with up to 20 Zoom rooms and can manage their input-output feeds. With that, we come to the end of this session, and I'm sure that you would have seen a different facet of Zoom Room and overall Zoom platform offering. Keep your questions coming and do not forget to fill the survey form. Your feedback is valuable and it will help me create more focused and curated content of your interest. Thank you all for joining me in this session. Hope you learned something out of it. See you in the next one. Bye for now.